Good morning, Malaysia. This is Matthias Chang once again from Future Fast Forward. Today I make this address to all of you with a heavy heart and very sad. I'm sad because what transpired at the UMNO AGM, especially the speech by Najib and some of his loyal cronies, Khairi, Head of Youth, Shahrizad, Wadana Chief, have appalled me in the manner in which they have misled, lied, and more seriously, distort, corrupt the teachings revealed in the Qur'an. This is shocking to me. In due course, I will show to you why this has happened. There's only one conclusion. Evil, the most heinous evil, is descended upon our country. But, as usual, I will urge all of you that notwithstanding this evil, this corruption, this decadence and total collapse of a rational government should not make you tremble of fear or be discouraged. Because I've always said in my past, addressed to all of you, that we must have faith, surrender our will, surrender ourselves completely to the will of Allah, have absolute faith that He will protect, defend and guide us under all circumstances, in the face of all enemies, adversities and challenges, and more seriously, against all evil. So before I commence, may I just, first of all, address my Christian brothers and sisters to remind them this is a time when you have to know the teachings of the scriptures of your faith. And if you have forgotten, may I remind you what was said in Psalms, Isaiah and Luke. If you be so kind to have your handphone ready, I would ask you to take a photograph of the following quotations from Psalms, Isaiah and Luke. Almighty God is the light and the rock. When the world around you looks confusing and evil appears to be winning, remember this: I am the light that keeps on shining in all situations. And light always overcomes darkness whenever these two opposites meet face to face. Psalms 61:2, 18:2, Isaiah 55:9, and Luke 2:10-11. Please open your scriptures and read these passages for solace, encouragement, and hope. Next, I will quote to my Hindu brothers and sisters the Holy Scripture of Bhagavad Gita. Who is Krishna? And in chapter 13, verse text 18, this is what Bhagavad Gita said. Jyotisam api touch Jyotis, Taman saparam uchate, Janam janam janat gayam, Hridi savasa vishitam. What this means is, Krishna, He's the source of all light in all luminous objects. He's beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. His knowledge, He's the object of knowledge. He's the goal of knowledge. He's situated in everyone's heart. Like the scriptures of the Bible, where God is manifested as light to overcome darkness, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also a source of light to shine and to expose the darkness and evil. And you have to seek knowledge, my dear Hindu brothers and sisters, from the Gita for solace, encouragement, and strength. And for the for the Buddhist brothers and sisters, may I remind you once again that Dhammapada gives you a lot of faith and hope, and that good will triumph over evil, and evildoers will never escape from the evil deeds. And this from the Dhammapada. Nobody is exempt from the effects of evil karma. Not in the sky, nor in mid-ocean, nor in the mountain cave is found that place on earth where abiding one may escape from the consequences of one's evil deeds. Because, as in the other two scriptures, the Buddhist scripture says, light will shine on all evil and expose them. And those evildoers cannot escape anywhere in the world, be it a mountain, oceans, and find any shelter. Because the evil deeds will be exposed and they will suffer the karmic consequences. Now, in my last address, I brought to your attention the most significant words of the Qur'an, which have inspired me. Never have I come across a passage in the Holy Scripture that is so specific, so explanatory as to what all of us must do as a primary duty. In the Bible, it said that we must love, worship, adore, and serve God with all our hearts, mind, and soul. First principle. This first cardinal principle is also in the Quran. Love Allah. Abide by His teachings with all your heart, mind, and soul. If we deviate from that road, of that path, we'll face everlasting fire. And therefore, I would like to quote once again for all of you. Please open your Quran to Surah Al-Ahzab 33, verse 66 to 68. It says here, the day that their faces will be turned back, upside down in the fire, they shall say, woe to us! Would that we had obeyed Allah and obeyed the Messenger. And they would say, our Lord, we obeyed our chiefs and our great ones, and they misled us as to the right path. Allah replied, give them double penalty and curse them with a very great curse. This surah and the verse is most appropriate because in the speech of Najib at the AGM, you will see and you will hear how Najib is misleading, misinterpreting, and have abused the name of Allah and the teachings just as to retain power for himself. Not even for UMNO or the members of UMNO, for himself. Why am I so confident that he has misconducted himself to such extreme? Is because in my previous address, I've already exposed to you, all of you, that this man who prided himself as a moderate, the president of UMNO, the prime minister, and a believer in Islam, has said in April, nothing is sacred. Meaning Allah is not sacred, Quran is not sacred, the Constitution is not sacred, the Agong is not sacred, the flag is not sacred. Nothing is sacred. Therefore, there's no red lines he can't cross, no violence he will not incite, no boundaries which he will not overlook or ignore completely. Nothing is sacred. He's therefore, by the way he conducted himself in the AGM before, I would say that Najib is in a psychotic frenzy, losing his mind. It is very interesting that the way he behaved prior to and the events leading to the AGM shows that with all the power in his hands, the army, the military, the police, all the issues of power, the General Office, MACC, all the powers he has, he trembles. He lives in fear at the thought that the people will not follow him and will cast him away. With all that power, he still reduced himself to the gutter level, to the cesspool of sectarianism, racism, and distortion of scriptures to perpetuate his rule. If I may recall, in my previous address to all of you, I used the analogy because Najib compared himself to Pharaoh. And you recall in the Quran, Allah asked Musa to tell Pharaoh to obey the commands of Allah. But Pharaoh showed utter contempt and insulted Musa, his brother Aaron, and defied Allah. So Musa led his people across the Red Sea to the glory of the promised land. And in defiance and arrogance and abuse of power, Pharaoh unleashed his army, the chariots, to chase Musa and his people. But they were drowned. The entire army was drowned, and the Pharaoh was killed in that historic episode. Bear that in mind. It shows that you may have all the power, military, civilian, all powers, but all powers belongs to God and God only. Everything we have is owned by God. God giveth, God taketh back. And that's illustrated by the story of how Musa defeated the Pharaoh. Now, some of you, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, and Muslims, have always prayed to Allah, to Jesus, Isa, to Buddha, for your prayers to be answered. And let me assure you that Najib will have equally prayed that his prayers be answered by Allah. But I can assure you that our prayers will be answered because our prayers is for justice, truth, and to obey the commandment of Allah, God Almighty. And I'm saying, some of you may not understand, may not have the faith, that God will not answer the prayers, the hypocritical prayers of Najib. Some of you don't really understand why sometimes prayers are not answered. Why was he not toppled and removed from power 2 years ago, 1 year ago? Sometimes God deliberately do not answer our prayers, even though our cause is just, because Allah, God Almighty, want to test us and see whether we have the patience and the diligence and the faith that ultimately He will win, good will win, truth will prevail, justice will prevail. And why would not Allah answer Najib's prayers? It's very, very simple. If you study the Quran and all the other scriptures, that is a punishment. Let him suffer as much as possible. In the meantime, we are given the grace to strengthen our faith, our resilience, our strength. So, be assured our prayers will be answered. When prayers are not answered by evildoer, every second is an eternity, and they will squirm and tremble and be so stressed they will lose their mind. Now, can I just pause and ask all of you, what have you thought recently of Mugabe, the president of Zimbabwe? He was a leader that was most respected, led the revolution in Zimbabwe to overthrow the colonial yoke of British rule and give independence to his country. He was loved. He was one of his people. Then his second wife took over, and by the lust and greed for glitter and pomp and ceremony and wealth and the lust of power, he poisoned Mugabe's mind and wanted, knowing that Mugabe is old, to take power. But the people stopped that usurpation and requested Mugabe not to succumb to the violence and the gauze and the deviousness of the second wife. What happened was, Mugabe, being a true patriot, though initially was misled by the second wife, realized his country, Zimbabwe, must come first. His people, which is led in a revolution for independence, must come first. And turned his back on his second wife and retired. And because of that dignified exit, the people forgave him. And recently on his birthday, the people celebrated his birthday because he put his country first, his people first, and turned his back on evil and the deviousness, the sinister wife's lust for power, lust for glitter and pomp and money. And this is what happened. Therefore, I will urge all UMNO members, emulate the people of Zimbabwe to tell your leaders enough is enough. Exit gracefully or God will unleash fire and punish not only your leader but your party as well, because he has been misled and corrupted by lust for power, greed for wealth, glitter and pomp. Now, can I just pause here now and highlight some of the things he said in his speech, which are horrendous, seditious, inciting violence. But I will only focus on a few passages to illustrate the point that Najib is in such a state of mind, he's in a psychotic frenzy. Alright? I will go to the relevant paragraphs, starting with paragraph 37 of his speech, and I read to you. Because more important than that, if this time around the country were pawned and fell into the wrong and irresponsible party, then what we and our forefathers had patiently built so far will come tumbling down, be crushed and destroyed before our eyes. Who is he accused of pawning the country, of our past achievements? It cannot be any of the previous leaders of Barisan Nasional or even opposition. It was he, Najib, that prostituted and pawned our country, our assets to China. Equally, he prostituted himself to gain favor, first to Obama. He thought that he played golf with Obama, the first president to do so. He did it again. He kowtowed to President Trump in the hope that President Trump would withdraw all proceedings against him by DOJ and by the FBI, so as to salvage whatever left of his reputation. He pawned, he prostituted, and yet he dare say that we, the loyal people of Malaysia, are pawning our country. He has brought our country to utmost shame and humiliation. Kleptocracy at its worst, as was revealed recently on Monday, the 4th of December, by none other than the Attorney General of USA, Jeff Sessions. The bulk of the money that was recovered by the DOJ against money laundering, racketeering, fraud and cheating, the bulk of the money was from one MDB, diverted to fulfill the lust, the greed of wealth by Joe Low, Rizal Aziz, the Arabs, the filthy Arabs, and the cabal in one MDB in Malaysia. So who prostituted the country? He did. But yet, UMNO members in the hall line up in front row, MC leaders, Gerakan leaders, what have you, applauded and supported him. Then he says, at paragraph 40, we cannot even imagine the nightmare and bad luck that will befall us. We are already suffering the bad luck and the evil that has followed in our country by his leadership. 8 years of corruption, evil, mismanagement, daylight robbery. Then he goes on to say, firstly, are we willing to allow Islam and Islamic teachings be ridiculed and insulted in this country? Who has ridiculed Islam or insulted Islam and its teachings? Not the non-Muslims. It is he himself and his bunch of cronies in UMNO that have distorted the teachings of Allah and Qur'an, and led us down the wrong path to evil. And in the surah, which I just quoted to you, those who were found guilty appeared before Allah and says, if only we obey Allah and the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, but we followed our chiefs, our great ones, they misled us. But Allah replied, that is not an excuse. Double the penalty and the curse on you will be a great curse. He distorts, he misleads, he confuses, just so he wants power. And then he says, secondly, will we have the heart to see the monarchy institution to be shown disrespect or to suffer treason, while Malay and Bumiputra institutions of pride, such as Mara, Felda, as well as Tamuk Haji, be marginalized? Who has destroyed Mara, Felda, and Tamuk Haji? You, Najib. The legacy of your father, Felda, have been destroyed by your lust for power, money. FGV. You ask the people, the settlers, to borrow money to buy shares in Felda. The IPO price was $4 now not even $1 ringgit. They're suffering. And you dare say other people are destroying Felda or Mara? Who is in control of Mara? UMNO is in control of Mara. And what have you done to ensure that all the graduates have excellence and get jobs? Today, young people, qualified young people from all universities, some of them have gone to Aslamak. Some are even becoming housemates. It's your policy, your corruption, and your neglect. Don't you dare say other people are responsible for this. As far as monarchy is concerned, right? What have you done? What have you done? You have, by your neglect, caused people to show a disdain, if at all there is any, for the monarchy, by your actions. By your actions. Then he goes to say, similarly, UiTM, the institution of pride of Bumiputra, UMNO will suffer the same fate and will definitely be sabotaged from achieving its objectives if the opposition were to rule the country. By the way, like I say, who controls all the institutions of higher learning? You! Your ministers of education, your people you put in charge of all those institutions, they are in control. If there's any failure, it's on your doorstep, on your table. The buck stops with you. Stop lying and stop misrepresenting. Then he goes on to say, paragraph 44, furthermore, should the opposition take over power, the civil servants would have been the backbone of the government. All this while would very soon be reduced in numbers. So you confess that you increase the civil service numbers so as to be your backbone to put your personal power regardless of the economy of the country. So is your ticket, is it? The civil service? Have you not insulted them by saying you rely on them to perpetuate evil, corruption and abuse of power? You are disgusting, Najib. You are disgusting. And I hope the civil servants will rise up to defend your honor and integrity and not listen to all these lies. Be careful, my fellow Muslim brothers. I will explain that later. This man has no interest of the Malays, the Muslims or the civil servants at heart. His sole aim is to perpetuate his power. Then, next line, para 46. Sorry, para 45. And obviously, the opponents would tremble of the special rights of Malay Bumiputras as the native descendants of this country and pawn away the position. Show me one example where non-Malays or non-Muslims have trembled on the rights of the Malay Bumiputras enshrined in the constitution. The country supported NEP. The country supported the leadership of Mahathir that resulted in the upliftment in the last 22 years, the Bumiputra community. Today, by your action, by your kleptocracy, our country is brought in shame throughout the whole world. You have been charged and accused of money laundering, racketeering through 1MDB. Through 1MDB, because you are in charge of 1MDB. You have sole authority on 1MDB. So who has tarnished the reputation of the Malays, who have achieved so much beyond imagination? Beyond imagination. And who is responsible for that upliftment? The whole country is proud of this upliftment by Tun Mahathir Mohamad, mainly. And yet you dare say that the rights of the Malays will be trampled? You have abused the Malay rights for your selfish gain to perpetuate your power. You're disgusting. Then he says, para 46, worse still, the Bumiputras will be cast aside, insulted and damned, and left destitute in our own country. Right now, compare the state of the economy at the height of all the crisis, 87 crisis, 97 crisis. Malays stood tall. They were able to withstand as one country, one community, the onslaught of speculators and revive the country. Revive the country on their own efforts. And now you say, Bumiputras cast aside. By who? By you and your leadership. You have trampled on the rights of Bumiputra. You know why? See, because you didn't yourself identify, right, as a Malay or as a Malaysian first. Bangsa Malaysia. You were very happy to go to Indonesia, right, to be on the pedestal as a Bugis. Like I said before, if I were to say, the non-Malays say, we are Hakka, Hokkien, Cantonese, Teochew first, and not Malaysian, we will be lynched and charged for sedition. But you, instead of promoting Bangsa Malaysia, put your heritage as the Bugis first. Shall we go back to all our forefathers? Shall we go back to all our forefathers, great-great-grandfathers, our lineage, which is irrelevant? You see? And yet you say, Bumiputra will be cast aside. How can Bumiputra be cast aside when you're the majority of this country? And then, since you say, all this are happening, the Malays are trampled upon, your rights are being forfeited. Very simple, okay? And I ask every non-Malay, non-Muslims Hindus, Chinese, Buddhists, Christians. And I hope all parties in the Malaysian National, I urge all of you to show our faith in law and justice. Let UMNO now declare openly to the whole country, there will be only one government comprised of all Malays and Muslims. And see whether with such a government in place, you can still protect the rights and the privilege of the Malay community as enshrined in the Constitution. Because we are not afraid, though we are a minority, because we believe in the Constitution, the law and justice, and the teachings of Allah, that we must help our brother in distress. So you say, only UMNO and the Malays under your leadership can protect the Malays, Islam, and the Muslim Trust. I urge all of us in Malaysia, give him a chance now to this election. Form a cabinet, 100% Malays, 100% Muslims, and see whether our country will rot and be corrupted by the distortion of Islam, by the robbery and pillage of Malay privileges to sustain a cabal and oligarchy, with the bulk of the Malays left in ruins because of your false leadership. I am confident, I am not afraid. Why? Because I don't see myself as a Chinese or a Christian. I see myself as a Malaysian. And I believe, as stated in the surah, that if you obey Allah, you have nothing to worry. Truth will prevail. And those who follow blindly such leadership as yours, God will impose double the penalty and cast the curse, greatest curse on you. Alright? Because you said nothing is sacred. You see? Therefore, you will even go to the extent of distorting and accusing other people what you are doing. You pillage, you rape our country. And then this, at para 56, dear fellow Malaysians, listen carefully. He has demanded loyalty in these words. Therefore, my fellow comrades, I call all upon you, if you do not want all this to happen, solemnly vow and promise, be loyal and make a pledge that let the lightning strikes, let heaven and earth collide, until our last drop of blood, we will defend this government. This country must not fall to opponents' hands. You mention blood, huh? There's nothing sacred. To shed blood to defend this government. This government is a perfect government, law-abiding government, following the Qur'an and Allah's commandments. You want your people to vow. This is precisely what the Qur'an has warned. No evil. No evil. Alright? Then what can they say? So you have in your speech openly, deliberately demanded that everyone follow you, be loyal to you. What is the basis of loyalty? They will get money through your corruption, the inducement. You are disgusting. And the excuse was, in time to come, to all UMNO members, if you say, our Lord, we obey our chiefs and our great ones, they misled us as to the right path. That is not an excuse. Yet in spite of this Quranic injunction command, you dare in public demand the UMNO members must pledge to even shed the last drop of blood. And then you realize it'll be a backlash. So at para 61, you pretend like a chameleon, a person speaks forked tongue. I repeat with firmness, UMNO is not anti-Chinese. why do you say that, if that's the case, right? Why do you say Malay rights will be tarnished, will be trampled upon, Islam will be trampled upon? How can any non-Muslim, non-Malay do that, being a minority? Surely if at all, rights of women will trampled upon, and Islam insulted, it's by you, by your action, by your own Muslims. Because no race, no country can ever be defeated unless it's from within. And I say to all members of UMNO and all Malaysians, this country can stand all external threats and attacks, like in 97 by Soros and by the Jews, because we were strong. This country will be destroyed, Muslims will be destroyed, Malay will be destroyed by the UMNO enemy within. You recall, right, about Troy, how Troy was destroyed by the Greeks. The concept of Trojan horse. Troy withstood every attack, every onslaught by the Greeks, until the Trojan horse came into their midst and they were destroyed from within, not without. Bear that in mind, fellow Malays, Saudara and Saudari, fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. Do not be misled by this rhetoric. Learn your lessons through history. More importantly, adhere to the commandments of the Quran. And then he says this, oh my God. Last paragraph of his speech, because I'm so disgusted, he says this. Paragraph 86. Sorry to say, but we also do not see the values of that Bunga Raya party is trying to promote. Pause for a while, my dear friends. Pause for a while. He has insulted our country. The national flower, Bunga Raya, hibiscus. That is the emblem of Parti Bersatu. Do you know why the party chose the emblem? That national flower signifies beauty, peace, love, unity. And everyone, since independence, have held the national flower, Bunga Raya, with respect and love. And you make a mockery of this? Every country has a national flower. For example, Britain, the rose. They don't make fun of the rose. And yet, you, in your frenzy, in your hopelessness, in your despair, you make fun of the Bunga Raya. Shame. Najib, shame. See, because you have declared nothing is sacred. Therefore, you can say anything you want. I have warned all of you Malaysians. When he said nothing is sacred, attack, 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 fight. To the last drop of blood, he's gone cuckoo. He's lost sanity. This is a man in a psychotic frenzy. In a psychotic frenzy. Alright? It's very sad. UMNO was a great party. I supported UMNO. When Tun was his leader, I worked with UMNO members. I didn't see any problems, right? Because it was for the country. All the success was for the country. But you distort it and make it and arrogate to yourself that you are the one. You have done nothing in your 8 years, but brought shame, shame. Now, let me talk about some other people, all right, who thinks that they can, by carrying the dumbbells of Najib, they get somewhere. This is the front page of Star newspaper. Huh? Photograph it, explain the words of Shahrizad, Wanita Chief. I want to focus on Khairi, right, or Putri, because they are non-entity. Alright? They are just all rhetoric, intellectual masturbation. But I cannot overlook what Shahrizad said. This is what he says, right? Malaysians are faced with two choices. On the right is government led by the Prime Minister, Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak and Barisan. And on the left is a government that will be led by DAP. Are Malaysians willing to hand over the country that we built for so long to a chauvinistic leadership? So he's equating DAP with chauvinism and Chinese. That the issue before the country is Barisan right, opposition left. These are very important words, okay? Why? Now, Sharizad is a lawyer by training, by education. He was a magistrate. And lawyers are known to be wordsmiths. We're going to be very careful what we say and what we speak. He used the word, he juxtaposed, right? Right with left. Now, normally when you say right is right wing, left is left wing. Both are extremes. Ideology and political movement. Right wing is fascist, militaristic, dictatorship. Left wing is also extremist, communist, dictatorship. That's his choice. Right wing dictatorship and so-called left wing, which she labeled on the part of the opposition, led by a Malay, a great Malay statesman, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. And members of PKR were formerly members of UMNO, Amana. So she says right and left. The juxtaposition is right and left, right? So I'm saying to all of you, she doesn't even know her Qur'an and the commandments of Allah. Because in all the scriptures, be it the Qur'an, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, and Dhammapada, I can tell you, God has never distinguished right and left. What God has always said is the right path and the wrong path. And to prove to you what I say, I refer to you Surah Ali Imran, chapter 3, verse 104 and verse 110. Let there arise out of you a band of people, inviting to all that is good, and joining what is right and forbidding what is wrong. They are the ones to attain felicity. Ye are the best of people, evolved for mankind, and joining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in God. So the juxtaposition in the Quran is the right path. Do what is right and forbidding what is wrong. Not right and left. And believing in God. You see, how mischievous is Sharizad? This woman is a scoundrel, a scumbag. And I challenge her to debate with me as fellow lawyers. Why do you choose the juxtaposition of right and left as opposed to right path and wrong path? Because you know in your heart, your path is wrong. But you can't say it because you depend on the handouts from your master, your dictator leader, the Pharaoh. So you twist right and left as if left is wrong. Both are extremists. It's the opposition that's fighting for the right path, justice and truth. Whereas you are covering up what's happening, the crimes of corruption and abuse and tyranny. And you call it right? You scumbag? You're hollow, you're shallow, you're nothing. Nothing. Alright? And then you and your boss Najib accused Tun Mahathir of, right, collaborating with DAP. How about you? Collaborating with PAS to mislead the people as to the Sharia law. As if hudud is the end all and be all of Islam. You played that game. Put the paper in parliament and adjourn and adjourn. And yet, you are now in cahoots with PAS. Maybe PAS is right, you know. Alright, when they first label you as kafirs. But of course now, they are going back on their word. But regardless, it's not what they say. Surah Hud, chapter 11, verse 113. And do not incline to those who are unjust, lest the fire touch you. And Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 44. If any do fail to judge, but the light of what Allah revealed, they are no better than unbelievers. So in a sense, PAS may be right in calling for what you are. Distorters, corrupters of the Islam and Qur'an. Because you don't practice what you preach. But Hadi and PAS Munaf explained to all his members and to all of us non-Muslims, why are you now flip-flopping? And why Zarizat, Khairi, Putri, you, UMNO, led by this scoundrel, not change your path to the right path? Follow the light of Allah. See, I just got it beginning of my speech, right? In all the scriptures, it's always light must follow, not darkness. Darkness and evil can only exist if there's no light or there's no goodness. Today, evil has triumphed for a time being. It's because all of us, especially those in UMNO, you have turned your back on light, the light of Allah, and let evil, corruption, criminality to prevail, to germinate, and to infect. So much so that now, the infection of darkness has now infiltrated and contaminated every other institutions across the entire political divide. How shameful. How shameful. I therefore call upon all the 9 rulers, in the light of all this expose, all this blatant incitement for bloodshed, distortion of Islam and the commandments of Allah. I, being a non-Muslim, having been encouraged by Muslim friends to read the Quran, to study the Quran, tell me now, as a non-Muslim, because you have always asked us to be sensitive to your feelings, to the word of God, the word of Allah, I therefore, over the years, took your invitation, studied the Quran, and I found passages inconsistent, contradictory to what is exhorted by UMNO, especially by Najib. Therefore, the 9 rulers being head of religion of Islam in their respective states, please, I implore you, I beseech you, make a ruling, a fatwa if need be. Is a speech by Najib in the recent concluded AGM seditious, incitement, and contrary to the spirit and commandment of Allah? Please, I implore you, Tuankus, do your duty. First to God. All power in the secular world, all power anywhere in the world today is irrelevant. The only power that I respect is that of Allah, God Almighty. He owns all power. He wields all power. He owns everything. We are His servant. Therefore, we should not arrogate to ourselves that we are so powerful that nothing is sacred. Therefore, I implore once again the 9 rulers, tell me, as a non-Muslim, which may be, and other non-Muslims, that you want us to convert to Islam, to follow the right path. Tell me, and tell all my Malaysians, non-Muslims, can anyone say that nothing is sacred? And in so saying, has not sacrilege, blasphemed the Quran and Allah. Nothing is sacred. That means also your institution, the monarchy, Agong, the sultans, under our constitution, you're not sacred. Nothing is sacred. Isn't that a slap in your face by this leader, inciting us to show respect to you, 9 rulers, all the Malay institutions, and all the Islamic institutions? How can you say this man must be supported? I therefore implore our rulers, the leaders of the Rakyat, constitutional monarch, as enshrined in the Constitution, defend the Constitution and not allow this rhetoric, seditious rhetoric, to get away with it. If you can't stand or tolerate mild criticisms, how can you put up with this nonsense by a false Muslim? You see, he kowtowed to a black Afro-American president. He kowtowed to a white man, Donald Trump. And he kowtowed to a yellow man, Xi Jinping, China. But I suppose yellow has different yellow, right? The yellow in Malaysia can be insulted, can be abused. Because maybe our yellow is not as yellow as the yellow in China. But he proceeded to China, open our ports to bases. For a city is enclave for yellow hordes. Who is surrendering up sovereignty? You tell me. Let's have common sense. Let's have justice to prevail. Let's have truth to prevail. So, with that, may I just ask all of you, right? No, does it make sense that this man can say what he says and get away with it? Some of you say, you know, he's fantastic. He's so close to Obama, so close to Trump, and Trump is very stupid. They can be easily influenced by Najib. Now, a lot of people I've met, Malays, non-Malays, Muslim, Hindus, Christians, they always say President Putin is a very clever person, but Trump is an idiot, will be influenced easily by Trump, by Najib. Yet, events have shown that when Najib kowtowed to Trump, Trump ignored him. Now, let's show to you. If you accept Putin as a clever person, a strategist, right, would this be a surprise to you? You can't accept Putin as a strategist, a brilliant person, when he in turn respects Donald Trump. See? You're caught now, isn't it? You're caught now, am I right? There you are. Not my words. So if Trump was an idiot, how come DOJ, judges, on the eve of the UMNO AGM, let loose the cannon and expose the corruption, the filth, the launderers, the racketeers, the criminals in our midst? And yet, you know, all he has left to do is propaganda, all right? And it was pathetic. Just before UMNO AGM, this came out in the newspaper. Oh my God. That he wrote, he's old school. He writes all his speeches in handwriting. See, this man has gone to the extent of trying to promote himself by a picture of him as if he's writing his own speech. By the way, Najib, when you're a little boy, young man, first into politics, till Tun brought you to cabinet, and till Tun retired, Tun has always wrote speech, longhand. 7 drafts per speech on the average. He knows what he's writing and talking. You pretend and tell people as if you know something, because as if you are writing your own speech. Your speech is infantile, immature, rhetoric, empty, all thunder, no rain, fresh incitement and sedition. And you want to compare yourself with Tun Mahathir? You can't even come near him. You are still at the level of cesspool. He is on the heights of global citizenship. Heights of global citizenship. Therefore, to conclude, My dear friends, please adhere to what I've said in the beginning of my address. Light will shine, expose darkness. Have faith that God is a rock and a light, and we will triumph. He will not get away with his crimes. With that, once again I urge you, surrender to the will of God completely. Have absolute faith that He will protect, defend, and guide us against all enemies, adversities, challenges, and most important, evil. We will prevail and we will win. Have faith in that. Have a good day and thank you.